Yes, thank you and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are the Lost Keys, and tonight we would share with you the wonder that is the sea shanty. The songs to unite the strength of men, the power of muscle and sinew, focused in a moment of time, without which there could be no great sailing ships, no trade routes, no empire. Case in point, I give you the Margaret Evans of the Blue Star Line. 1,000 tons. Length on deck, 266 feet. 60 passengers in the first and second class cabins and 300 in the steerage. London to New York in just 4 weeks. Wow. Driven by the sun and the wind and the strength of good men. Power of muscle and sinew, focused in a moment of time. There are those who say that the age of sail is over, after 400 years, given way to steamships and to diesel. These ships have speed, I grant you that, and they have had 100 years and may yet last 100 more. But answer me this, ladies and gentlemen. After the engines have guzzled the last lump of coal, swilled the last drop of oil, then what will there be? There will be the sun and the wind and the strength of good men. And until then, we will keep the songs alive. Aye. Aye.
Captain Brown, stop whizzing and sing me one of those shanties you told me about.
Harky, Billy. It's shanties, not shanties. No seaman can sing a shanty when he's not at work. Shanties were work songs. There were halyard shanties that were used for hauling on the ropes, and windlass shanties that were used for getting up the anchor and such like jobs.
My name is David Niebuhr, and I've had a very diverse and elaborate and crazy career in life. I grew up without fingers, and my earliest memory is my mom and dad telling me that I could do anything I want, and I used to tease my mom that I've been doing whatever I wanted ever since. So I have a PhD in marine biology. I hold an MBA in marketing, and I've been a teacher and an executive at zoos and aquaria. And but through that, part of it has been serving on the board of Tall Ships America, which is a group that brings a lot of these boats together, and those boats bring a lot of people who know how to sing sea shanties and share sea shanties. I myself put myself through grad school by singing in the taverns of Colonial Williamsburg, a career that I've kept up off and on for the last 35 years. Okay, well, there's several different types of sea shanties. Sea shanties are work songs, but they're also entertainment songs, folksal songs, the kinds of things where you pass along stories and yarns. For the most part, sea shanties really begin to become present in our world, in the Western world, after the War of 1812. When there's a lot less violence and military affairs on the sea, and people start making a lot more money, and there are a lot more merchants. Sea shanties are not typically sung on military vessels. They're sung on merchant vessels, and they're sung to be efficient with a small crew and try to get the jobs done. So I guess the simplest kind is called a short haul shanty, and that's like for raising sails, right? And so you all have to do one task together, and that's haul the sail up. And so an example of a short haul shanty would be like Paddy Duncan, and it goes, "To me way, hey, and away, we'll pay Paddy Duncan for his boots. To me way, hey, and away, We won't shave under our chin. To me way and away. Ah! We'll pay Penny Duncan for his boots. So that kind of thing. And then there are other types of shanties, like pumping shanties, which are just rhythmic, that go on and on and on. Something like, oh, the winds don't blow the wages low. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. The captain says that it's time to go. It's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Our bags are packed and the wind don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. So two different types of things, right? And then there are also caps and shanties, which are very similar to that. You'll find that shanties get to be more fun and have more entertainment value the later you get them in history. So something like, in South Australia I was born with a heave away and a haul away. In South Australia round Cape Horn we're bound for South Australia. Haul away your rolling kings, give me the heave away and a haul away. Haul away, you'll hear me sing, we're bound for South Australia. So different types of things for doing different work. You can set the pace, gets everybody in the same rhythm, but it's kind of the same thing if you've ever seen pictures of boot camp, where the staff sergeant or the sergeant is taking the new recruits. They're making up a cadence as they go, and then everybody gets it and follows along with it.
Billy, you should have heard us sing that shanty. We had the anchor up in no time at all, and then we hoisted the topsails and sheeted them home.
Did you sing while you did that?
Aye, we sang Reuben Rhymesole and Tom Sawyer the High-Low and Blow the Man Down. Blow the man down, bullies, blow the man down. Big way, blow the man down. Oh, blow the man down, bullies, blow him down.
All right. Good evening. I'm Dr. Linda Monson, and I serve as the director of the Reeve and Sid Dewberry Family School of Music here at George Mason University. I'm a pianist, and I've had the good fortune of being able to perform throughout the world. And I'm a classical musician primarily, but of course I love all genres, and very, very involved with music in so many aspects. Very proud of what we're able to do here at Mason in our performance area, as well as music education, music technology, and all the the various ways that students were able to study music. As you already know, there are many kinds of sea shanties, and they're placed into various categories. But I think some of the defining features that make a shanty identifiable as a sea shanty. One, it is a work song. It's going to have a strong pulse or a strong beat. And usually you're going to find a very strong beat on beat one. And that's because it's something that is inspiring us to work hard or to have that rhythmic energy as we're working. So you often will have something where it's on beat one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. That's what I mean by that strong pulse. Other features that really make a sea shanty identifiable is the type of harmony that it's based on. Most sea shanties will be identifiable with these main chords of a 1, a 4, and a 5. A 1, a 4, and a 5. And that's because it is based on folk, I'll say the harmonies and also the melodies that you have definable in folk music. And so most folk songs are identifiable with those three main harmonies. You will also find that there's certain kinds of scales or certain kinds of, we call them modes, that are used a lot in sea shanties. You will sometimes have within a major key, sometimes within a minor key, but often one of the most typical is what we call a Dorian mode. So that's this example that I chose to demonstrate the Drunken Sailor is this Dorian mode. Dorian mode is referring, and you can see here with my fingers, it's white notes from D up to D. Now, that's different than major. Major would be this. Minor would be this. Dorian is this. Now, when you take that and you add chords there, you get a typical shanty feel. So once again, if we're looking at Drunken Sailor, we're based on, sounds minor, like any minor. But the thing that's cool is that that's a raised 6, so it's a little different tune. Now, when you're looking at the melody, it's always something really, really easy to sing. Usually it's in the range of a fifth. So by a fifth, I mean this. So it's not jumping. It's not some big thing that's hard to sing. It's repetitive and it's easy to sing. If you look at the range, bum, 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 bum. Repeat it down a step. Back to the original. Now, this Dorian. So we've got that melodic shape, that mode of Dorian, and the harmonies. And we have a strong beat on 1. This is in a meter of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. So we have a strong beat on 1. We're in Dorian. Well, it's ways to go above and beyond what the individual is doing, and we start to do this corporately. We're singing these sea shanties together. We're working together to make something happen and to put our minds into a sense of, we can do it. We have a purpose. And so I think it's kind of purpose-driven music. So when you say, what makes a shanty sound like a shanty? Well, work song, strong beat on 1. Usually you have a meter of 4/4, or you might have a meter of 12/8, which is 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. It's still in 4. What you don't have is a waltz-like tune or meter. You're not going to have 1, 2, 3. No. But you might have 12/8 or standard 4/4, the most common. Melodically, a small range, so that's very singable. Lyrics that are easy, and they're often kind of nonsense. It's not like some ballad where it's telling a big long story and you have, a beginning, a middle, big drama, and then an end. No, because if you have a ballad, you have to have a set amount of time to be able to get through that song for your listener. The thing is with the sea shanty, workers, they didn't know how long they're going to be on however long that piece is going, that's however long it goes. And you just kind of make it because the work may change. Now we have a different thing we have to do. Okay, that's the end of the song. So it's not like it's filled with some deep meaning in terms of the lyrics.
Earlier on, and some of the simple ones, it was just the ships would have someone who was responsible for singing the shanties, who would sing the first line, and then they would make up the rest.
Call and response. So you might have a leader who's kind of going, what shall we do with the drunken sailor? And then you may have the rest of the folks joining in. What shall we do with the drunken sailor? Maybe back to the leader. What shall we do with the drunken sailor early in the morning? And then someone else calls out, like improvisation. Like you might have, I hate to say like in jazz because it's a very different form, but improvisation in the sense of making it up. And so someone else will call out words. But then always at the end, everyone joins in, early in the morning. That ending phrase is going to be common.
They're folk songs you can make up on the spot. I'm not good at it. I have friends who are rhyming fools. And a shanty will go as long as people keep adding verses to it. It's not really my style. It can be fun for a little while. I'm a performer where 3 minutes people start getting bored, I think. But if everybody in the group is making up verses.
It's not so hard as a musical genre to be able to replicate because of the repetition, the limited range, and then we get to have fun with lyrics that are inclusive, and it's getting everybody involved. And so, so there's a sense of, this won't be this way forever. I'm going to get through this. Life will be better. You wait. Tomorrow's going to be better. The sun will come up and tomorrow will be better. And that's how people continue to live and continue to be able to get through life when life is very hard.
It's a black packet, a packet of fame. She belongs to New York and dump. She wrote her name. She's rammed up and scanned up and deck and below. We're bound for Shanghai in the Dom Pedro Road. Singing down, 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 Derry down. And now we are sailing down onto the line.
Sea shanties were no longer used when ships moved from sail to steam. You didn't have these massive crews anymore. Even in the later days of sail, there's only a handful of crew, and the rigging is steel, and it's just a different game. So as the crews got smaller, there was less need to keep them coordinated. You had a group that worked together all the time. They were doing it. So when that fully happened, shanties moved just completely into the popular realm or the folk music realm. As communication got better, as publishing got easier, as there were newer and newer ways and bigger ships, you start seeing collections of sea shanties by the late 19th century. People still sang them because they liked them.
And so I think the shanties have served a very specific function, in the mid-19th century when it was kind of the heyday. But just as folk music has, continued throughout the ages, and we have folk music, of all countries, and every country has its own folk tunes that are, indigenous to that region. I think the sea shanties have something that's really really special, because it's representing music of the people and of the working folks. And then even now, there's places like in New England where they'll gather and have sea shanty. Like now we might call it kind of the music hall, where you all gather together and do stuff. But it's whole groups of people that would get together and sing these songs. And there's always some leader who's making it happen. But it has become a form of, how shall I say? I wouldn't use the term entertainment. It's more of, but it is a way of bonding through the community on something that you're sharing. And in this case, it may be the love of this particular genre, the sea shanty.
When two boats come together and wind up in the same port, it is not unusual to have a shanty off, where people just take turns singing shanty after shanty, trying to be the louder or the more fun or whatever group. So that's kind of the way they've been shared historically as well. But the modern thing with the TikTok and the Wellerman,
forcefully inserting itself directly into TikTok, where it did not belong. Yes, madness. But I think you all know the words. You probably all know the words. If you claim to not know the words, you're probably lying. You know them somewhere subconsciously deep inside. I would like us all to join as one people in song tonight.
So we're from The Longest Johns.
Hello.
We've been singing sea shanties and folk music for the last 12 years or so, and since we've been doing it, we've definitely seen some interesting sides of the whole genre, and it's been amazing to kind of be welcomed into this kind of underground but really beautiful, thriving world of people that have been keeping this music alive. And we've been very privileged to meet some people who've been singing it for absolute decades and get to sing with them and see the genre really grow and thrive. So yeah, seeing everything explode on TikTok was incredible.
And
it was definitely a difficult time for a lot of people, kind of being at home and stuck, and yeah, to see people find their own voices again and sing and
kind of to see something which we believe could have happened and like should be more prominent in people's minds achieve that was amazing. So yeah, really, really cool.
There's a great shantyman named Tom Lewis who's lives in Ireland now, but he's from Wales. And there are some songs on TikTok that are very popular. He wrote them in the 60s and 70s. There's one, it's 2 pints of beer a day, and that's a bleeding lot.
Well, now we get an extra 2 because they stopped the car. So we'll put on our city clothes, find a pub ashore.
A sailor's just a sailor, just like he was before. Don't haul on the rope, don't climb up the mast. And if you see a sailing ship, it mightn't be your last. Just get your civvies ready for another run ashore. A sailor ain't a sailor, ain't a sailor.
So he does modern shanties. Another fellow who does a lot of modern shanties, has written quite a few that are famous, is Bob Zentz. Bob lives in Norfolk, and yet he's performed all over the country doing sailing songs. It's pretty neat.
So in this song, there are 2 crew responses which you will sing. That wasn't a question. And the first one is "Way for Rio." Ready? Way for Rio. Yeah, good. And it works best with fist waving. There were some of us sick, there were some of us sore. There we go. Way for Rio. We'd drunk all our drink, we were looking for more, and we're bound for the Rio Grande. So I've been playing in Irish pubs and other pubs in and around Montreal and area for the last 30 years. And I always noticed that the songs that had a part for the audience to sing back ended up being the more successful songs, and you'd save them for key moments in your set when you needed them. And then, of course, sea shanties is a whole genre of music based solely around getting people to holler back at you. So when I keyed into that, I started learning more and more. And then I got hired by Ubisoft to sing for the Assassin's Creed series. So I really had to take a deep dive into a whole bunch of shanties. I don't know how many we sang for that, but lots. And then, of course, with my Shanty of the Week series, I had to do my own research a lot more about everything around the shanties. I try to look at a bunch of different transcriptions and recordings and sort of take the elements from each one that I like. And sometimes I have to fill in the blanks if there's something that I think is missing, and I'll actually sort of make up bits myself. So it's both a research project and a creation project to come up with the versions I sing. Now, some of the versions I sing are identical to what I heard from somebody else, but some of them are really like a new thing that I put together. And I don't think I'm unique in that. I think that's the process that's been going on for hundreds of years, that everyone has been making up their own versions as they go. And I think that everyone should be able to make up whatever versions they want. So it's been a process over the last 30 years of getting more and more into it, which leads me to being here and singing with you guys and whoever else will sing along with me.
For home. There was a homeward bound shanty we'd always sing when we started the return voyage. It was called Goodbye, Fare You Well, and we sang it that day as we said goodbye to sang out. Fare you well, we're homeward bound. Goodbye, fare you well. Goodbye, fare you well. We're homeward bound for New York town. Hurrah, my boys, we're homeward bound.
What do you think has caused the recent boom in sea shanties?
They're classic. You know, they're classic and they're fun. You know, I go to these tall ships events, and there are all these young people. The tall ships business, these they're all young, right? Or really old, but the really old ones don't climb up a mast anymore. But these kids are loving the sea shanties, and they outdo one another with trying to sing them when they get together.
But it's simple in form, simple in melody, simple in harmony, but it hits one, you know? And so I think anybody who, if they have some emotion inside of them, they are going to find that the sea shanty can really feel very heartfelt. And you want to join in, and you want to be a part of it, and you want to create, and you want to be the next one throwing out the lyrics. It draws you in a very real way.
what strikes me most about singing sea shanties is the communication with the people that you're singing with. You know, in a case where we were working, it would have been communicating how we're going to do the work together. But in a performance setting, it's still as joining of people, but for entertainment purposes. But I still feel when I'm singing the songs that the original purpose of it comes through in the performance.
We don't want it to just kind of be some niche thing that just gets put in a box in a museum somewhere and people come and look at it and think, oh, isn't that nice? But actually it's something special that's still alive today and growing and thriving, and more people being introduced to it and it taking on its own life and being carried forwards into new generations. And with the power of social media especially, and more people finding their voices and singing for themselves, we hope to see more of that.
What was it?
Did you get home in time for Christmas?
Aye, we sailed into New York Harbor with several days to spare. And as soon as the ship was fast for dock, we got ready to go ashore. But there was one more job we had to do.
What was that?
It was one last spell at the pumps. It was a shanty we always sang while we did that job. It was called Niebuhr, Johnny, and it gave a sailor a chance to tell what he thought of the boys.
All right, everyone, we're going to sing Leave Her, Johnny. Thank you so much. I thought I heard the old man say, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Tomorrow you will get your pay, and it's time for us to leave her. That's it. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is done and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her.
The wind was foul and the ship was slow. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. The grub was bad and the wages low. It's time for us to leave her.
I will let you know that I had the opportunity to be on the U.S. Coast Guard bark Eagle, and we were there for a meeting, and the captain came up and he said, okay, it's time for up and overs. And an up and over is to the main top. So outboard in the rigging, all the way up the rigging to the main top, which is 80 feet above the deck and 95 feet above the water. And then over the other side. Well, what you forget is A, you're climbing 80 feet straight up in the air. And B, when you get to the top, when you get to the main top, the rat lines go out like this, and you have to hang outboard and then haul yourself over. And I got there and they had a bosun's mate kind of encouraging us and keeping us from stopping and making sure we're doing the right thing. And he said, I said, I don't know whether my knees are shaking because I just climbed 80 feet straight up or because I'm hanging 80 feet backwards over the deck. He said, a little of both, sir, keep it moving. So anyway, but after being on board those vessels and having that experience, being a part of history like that, it's no wonder